Well, good morning, students and parents. This is Mr. Stivers. Today is Thursday. April 16th. We're in week 2 of NTI. This is something new I plan to do every Thursday because by now I have had my online sessions with 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Today becomes a Q&A time at 2 p.m. But really just I'd like to summarize where we're at in terms of progress and maybe concerns that I also see. And because I am one who is passionate about my job and wants to be purposeful with you, to also just put my own personal touch on a message to you this morning. So I want to start with just some positive trends that we have for week 2 of NTI, but I conducted over 107 meetings total for just week 2. So that would have taken place anytime from Monday morning to where I'm at now. It could include a one-on-one session. Could have also included our live stream events, even contacting you as parents and students over the phone or online. 97% of our band students are currently enrolled into Smart Music, which is phenomenal. Only 4 students seem to maybe have technological issues and or haven't reached out for help. So if that's you, I would still gladly like to help you and will help you. Practice time, because I can gauge that in Smart Music for every grade level, even individual students I'm able to see, but is up this week compared to last week. In our live stream sessions as well, we had 12 more viewers this week than we did from last week. Some concerns I have, which is one reason why I wanted to do this, was to be intentional. But students, when you are submitting an assignment, let's say you've done the assignment on Smart Music and you click Save and you click Submit. I don't get a notification that on Smart Music is done because there's not notification settings for me that correlate with Google. So my hub of knowing when you've done something, just know this, is to go to Google and click Submit or Complete. I can't remember what the button's called for that assignment. Even if there's nothing to attach or turn into it, that confirms for me as your teacher I'm ready to grade it. So if it's in Smart Music, I can go to Smart Music and grade it for you, okay? That also includes watching our news. So many of you will type in the chat that you're here, and that's great, but your form of attendance is to actually go into Google Classroom before 2 p.m. and click that you're here, so I know that link is readily available for you and you are watching with us. The second thing, just because I'm all about heart checks, is effort. And I know that we find ourselves in unprecedented times, times of uncertainty, times of finding a new normal. And even myself in week 2 of doing this, I have found it to be very challenging, but I also have pushed myself to find purpose. And with that, I just want you to know, students, it's not that you aren't doing the work, it's the quality of the work and maybe lacking intrinsic motivation to just finish strong. So this morning, I actually found myself with that very thought in mind, like why we don't finish what we start. And if anyone is like me with TED Talks, I love them because they can be short and brief, but man, they cut to the heart and they also connect to our mind and our soul. So, but I want to show you maybe just a couple clips about that, but I've got this picture to the right that I'm sharing with you right now, and I learned this morning through an artist who presented at TED Talks. His name is Robert Davis, and I'll share some of his sharing findings with you, but he says non finito is kind of an idea in art of something that is unfinished. I just want to read to you its definition, but non finito is a sculpting technique, meaning that the work is unfinished. Italian in origin, it literally means not finished. Non-finito sculptures appear unfinished because the artist only sculpts part of the block, the figure sometimes appearing to be stuck within the block of material. And there's a perfect picture of that, but you see something that has art and beauty to it, but is also unfinished. And I think that is a perfect picture of maybe where we're at. For some of you, it is the reality that you didn't get to do your last concert this year, or go on a trip with your classmates. For others of you, it was looking forward to doing that competition in the spring or winning that championship and going after it. So for all of us, we have this reality of something that's maybe just unfinished in our life right now, and it maybe feels so hard to finish what we have started, whatever that looks like. So here's the first clip I want to share with you from Robert Davis. This was done in 2015 in Melbourne for the TED Talks.
Now, why don't we finish things? There are many, many reasons. Fear of doing a TED Talk. Fear of embarrassment, fear of failure being some of the reasons. extenuating family circumstances. These just being a few of the reasons why we put our dreams on hold. When I was 17, I was diagnosed with scoliosis, a condition that, if left untreated, had the possibility of leaving me crippled with pain and bent over by age 30. They told me that if I didn't get the operation before I went to college or immediately after, they couldn't be concerned about what would happen to me. So I had a decision to make. Now, whenever I had to make a decision, I would seek refuge on the roof of our 2-story building. So there, peering into the sky, I was searching. And as the late night sounds of car pursuits and neighborhood rumblings vanished, I was looking for a tesseract. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with the work of Madeleine L'Engle, a tesseract is a rift or rip in the sky that takes us into another dimension. I was searching for the adventure I knew I was destined to take. I decided to get that operation after my first year back from college, but not before I saw my grandmother. Let me tell you a little bit about her. My grandmother was the kind, quiet matriarch of our family and greatly loved. You went to her house to have some of the best soul food you've ever had, to catch up on gossip, and to see family. Still a little bit of emotion with her. My grandmother was celebrating her birthday, and I really wanted to do something special to honor her. So I did a picture of my granny's favorite comic strip character, and that was Mickey Mouse. Now, I was only 8 at the time, so it's a pretty rough drawing. All our family members were gathered in my grandmother's formal living room, the only room in the house where all the furniture was still covered in plastic. The wrapped sofa cushions would cling to sweaty legs when you rose up. And there she sat, right in the middle. Family members presented her with beautifully wrapped presents, and I presented her with mine, and she loved it. She said it's the first picture that I had ever done for her, and she would keep it always. Well, at the time, I looked at the many gifts that Grandma had gotten. I said, Grandma, if you keep it in a month, I'll be happy. But as it turned out, anytime I would go and visit my grandmother or bring a friend over, she would show them this drawing. If a neighbor came by or a church member came by just for coffee, she would say, look what my grandbaby did for me. He's going to be a real artist someday. Now, it really got to be embarrassing as I got older. So there we were, my grandmother, my girlfriend at the time, and me sitting on my grandmother's plastic couch enjoying a cup of lemonade when she says, oh, did I show you that drawing that my baby did for me? And before I could object, she dashed off to bring out what? That picture of Mickey Mouse. Now by then, it was well-worn, tattered, and yellowing at the sides. And I said, Grandma, why do you always bring this picture out? I mean, I can draw much better now. I'm getting to be a better artist. And she just looked at me and said, baby, I know you can draw, but this is the first picture you did for me. And it was at that moment I realized the power of personal art making. I had found my tesseract. Knowing who I was helped me through that difficult operation. You see, during a critical stage in the surgery, I went into cardiac arrest. I almost died. They had to flip me over and pump my heart to get it started again. As a result, I had to give up my dream of going back to college. I had to have months of recuperation and went through a series of body casts as part of my rehabilitation. But I pulled through, and as I shed the last of those damn body casts, I shed the idea of being that respectful oldest son. I shed the idea that I had to live for other people. I had found my purpose. We don't finish things when we're not passionate or on purpose.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that first clip that I wanted to share. And as you just see his candor, his authenticity of how he speaks about his life experiences, bringing him to a point as an artist, but the realization that some things are unfinished, and it has him perplexed and maybe feeling a bit lacking of purpose. But he has two quotes that I just want to share with you in the closing of his presentation. But you'll learn in a second that Robert Davis, his life didn't get easier. In fact, there's a moment in his life where he's brought to this realization that who am I becoming? And here's what it reads: but we all have instances or references that mark a change in direction and point to a new way of seeing. And if there's ever a time where I believe that we are having to face a new way of seeing our day-to-day, it is now. And students, I just wanted you to know as an adult that I care for you. I expect great things from you, even in light of circumstances being the way they are, or we can't be here together and do our way of normalcy. What does this new normal look like? Well, I challenge you with this, that just as he presented his grandmother with that portrait of Mickey Mouse and kept it, as your teacher, I keep things of you that you did as a sixth grader. For some of you, that was just maybe months ago. For the others of you, you're getting ready to exit middle school and you wonder what that portrait looks like in my head and heart. And it's this, that what I see in you is a work in progress. And even when you graduate Crosby, it's going to be unfinished. But who you are and how you do things determines a lot of your character. So maybe it's this COVID-19 that is your reference in time. And who are you going to become through this trial? Another quote he shares is, embrace those unfinished bits, because no one is perfect and life is full of unfinished business. But he chooses the word embrace rather than shy away from or become lazy or procrastinate or to feel so perplexed and anxious that you're immobile. And that's not the message I have for you as your teacher, and it's not the message Robert Davis has too. So I just want to finish this last clip for you this morning.
In my studio, I have a number of unfinished works, but I don't see these as failed attempts. Rather, these unfinished pieces are part of my learning process. It takes courage when we know something is working out to start again, try something new. What I've learned is that many of my pursuits will be finished and some will not. Either can be okay, as long as I continually and regularly ask myself, should I be pursuing this? Am I doing this for me or for some other purpose? I did a painting called Looking Back, Looking Forward. It details my unfinished life. It talks about gaps in my art making and how one single moment changed my future. It was a beautiful sunny day. My partner and I were holidaying in a beautiful, stunning resort on Langkawi, Malaysia. That morning, we decided to go and do yoga on the far side of the beach. On that waveless beach, people were in wonderment. There were seashells and starfish and beautiful corals as far as you could see. The wave came by so quickly, the force of which sent my friend and I into a forest of mangroves. Clinging to the tanglement of roots, we didn't know what was happening. We thought, what is this? We found ourselves in chest-deep, murky water, struggling to stay afloat. And as the second wave hit, I thought, this is it. Life is over. I held my breath and waited. But as quickly as that tide came, the tide receded, taking away anything that was not chained down, as if someone had lifted up a stopper and everything went pulling down. We found ourselves bruised, dazed, but standing on dry land again. Ever so thankful that the tsunami on that Boxing Day morning hadn't taken away our lives. We all have instances, references that mark a change in direction. and point to a new way of seeing. Water became my point to a new way of art making. My art became personal, deep, and extremely, extremely vulnerable. My work started to speak of the pain of breaking up a long-term relationship. It spoke of the joy of getting letters from home when I was on many, many travels. They spoke of new beginnings, new love, and new situations. Today, my art tells stories. This is work called Homage, and it speaks of a story of a family, their love, their adventures, and their hopes for the future. It's a tribute to my partner's mother's unfinished journeys. See, she took a travel. She went on a voyage, but did not complete it. But in that state, she was able to write her family a letter, and I'll read a part of that letter. I hope you will travel the world. I have been fortunate to visit so many beautiful places. Be free spirits, fly free, make goals, and make a difference. You see, every one of us is an unfinished landscape, evolving, changing, and growing into the wonderful works of art we're intended to be. Non finito is a term found in art where the artist chooses to consciously not finish the work as a tribute to nature's imperfections. Just as my life is uncompleted and has fragments, so we all have uncompleted stuff, dreams that make us who we are. My challenge for you is to embrace those unfinished bits, because no one's perfect, and life is so full of unfinished business.
I hope that you found his life story, his message to be meaningful to you today if you are still watching. And I just want to wrap up with his quote: "Embrace those unfinished bits, because no one is perfect, and life is full of unfinished business." And as I just think about the stories that we will share from years from now, there's going to be a lot of hardships that have come from this, obviously. Some things we'll laugh about, like not enough toilet paper. But I think there's opportunity for other stories to happen too, and students that can even come through the life of a middle school student. With your amount of time you have, Xbox is fun for a while, but what other things can you be doing to better yourself? And I'm thankful that we have a platform called music to do something that is extraordinary. I want to share with you a clip that I found from a fellow friend that I have on Facebook. Her name is Stephanie Wallace, and some of you actually had Miss Wallace as your guest conductor for All County one year. So I'm just going to put this up here. Obviously, I have to search for it. But Miss Wallace, one of her students, was recently in the news for doing something extraordinary with his time. He happened to look at his circumstances and find a new way of doing things, and to find purpose and passion in something that he knows he loves to do. So here's the picture I just wanted to share. But this student, Connor Hill, made the news by going to local nursing homes and performing within social distancing. But elderly patients just opening the doors and windows and not expecting the surprise that they did because of the generosity of just one kid making time with something that he had as an everyday common thing. And he found a new way to look at it, a new purpose. And he's just one story of many, I'm sure, that we can find in our day to day. And I want you to be that person. And I don't know what that looks like. But again, we're not perfect people, and there's lots of unfinished business in life. So embrace those moments, please. Find opportunity as excitement and joy. And even though we cannot physically do it together, that we can still virtually have a community that's doing wonderful things. So here for you, thankful for you. If you have any questions, you are welcome to reach out to me. Miss each of you dearly. Thank you.